Welcome back, everybody, to Music Talk with Dave and Mike. I'm Dave.
Mike, howdy, howdy.
So this week we're going to do the new, well, I guess it ain't very new now. It's been out about a month. Billy F Gibbons, Hardware. It's got that cool 1934 Ford on the front there.
He's got a garage full of those things, man.
Yeah. This one was pretty cool. I saw him. He did a video with Jay Leno on it. If you look real close, there's a headlight right there. It's I think he said it came off of a locomotive. And it actually slides into the top. He didn't want to put anything on the front, so they inserted it into the hood, and it pops up. This is a real car. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So you got the gatefold. Of course, here's your front of your car. Room, right? And all the track listings here. One thing about it, you don't get any lyrics. You don't get who plays what. This is the back.
Yeah.
And the writing's brown on black. Okay. I want you to look at that because that's hard to read, man. Really hard. I guess it could be orange. But I like the cover. I think it's got a really cool thing. It's the typical, Billy Gibbons ZZ Top car trick. Here you got the CD, looks like a speedometer there. 0 to 120 there. So that's pretty cool. You get nothing else. That's it. This get this case and you get the CD. You get no lyrics. You get no nothing basically. But what you do get is a pretty daggone good record here.
Yeah, well, I got the rundown of who was on the album with him.
Yeah, it took me some research on this one because you don't, he didn't give it to you for free. You had to go research this. So it took me a couple of days just to figure out a lot of the stuff on this thing that was going on because, again, there's not a lot of information out there on it. So maybe we will enlighten some people on it.
And I was shocked at this. You got Matt Sorum, which is the Guns N' Roses Velvet Revolver to Cult. Now, I'm sorry, Guns N' Roses, but I mean, that's another discussion.
Yeah, I think, he was definitely not the main guy because you had Steve Adler, but he came in later, which still, sorry about, having to work with Axl, but whatever.
Right? Guitarist Austin Hanks, Rebecca and Megan Lavelle of Larkin Poe.
Right.
And West Coast Junkie was...
we had Mike Florentino and Chad Schlosser.
But that's what I'm talking about, though. I mean, I was shocked that this Matt Storm was able to fall into this West Coast surf sound that was going on with the West Coast Junkie. Yeah. And then also, too, fell into that Texas shuffle like nobody's business.
Yep.
I mean, pulled it off more than convincingly. I mean, it was perfect,
Yeah, but I mean, if you think about it, though, I mean, Velvet Revolver played a lot of different stuff. I mean, Guns N' Roses, whatever. And the Cult and Velvet Revolver, I mean, they were a little bit different. The Cult, for sure, not your typical shuffle guys, but still very wide variety on those bands, Yeah. So yeah, we'll talk about we'll go right on down it. The first one, My Lucky Cards, kind of cool little story there. They wrote that for Matt's wife, actually.
Huh.
Because she came into the studio and kind of brought him some a little bit of luck, according to what Billy said. And it was always Matt's lucky card, and her name's actually Ace, which is pretty funny, like an ace. So, but yeah, it was pretty good. My Lucky Car, that's a great song, man. You got that typical Billy Gibbons sound, I mean, it's got the ZZ Top sound that you would normally expect. Thing that's fun, that's good about this song, if you listen real close, you can hear a keyboard doubling in the background. All that guitar line. I mean, it almost sounds like it could be a guitar with a keyboard synthesized pedal.
Well, you remember they had that synthar thing that came out in the 80s there for a while that some guitar players are messing around with.
Yeah, but I actually think this is really a keyboard. It sounds like it to me. But it's really hard to hear it. If you don't really listen close, you won't even know it's there. but it's doubling the guitar riff the whole time during the verses. So, but it's pretty cool. I mean, it's got a great solo in it. Again, it's like old school ZZ Top before Eliminator,
Right.
you know, which is what I like because it's like going back to those days.
Yep. Well, and a lot of this album in general just reminded me of those days of like Eliminator, and it fell right into that channeling of right as they were getting ready to add all those electronics that they started using. It was right before that,
Right.
and that's right where this album left off, brought you right back to, is where
Exactly.
they before they went into the Eliminator,
The more
and
pop stuff. Yeah.
you know
Yeah.
that's what I loved about this. I was like, my God, you could just insert this into the ZZ Top
Catalog. Yep.
and put it right back to ground zero.
Yep. Yep.
The only thing you were missing was Dusty's vocals.
Mm-hmm. I know that and his bass playing, because they don't even have a bass player on this album.
Right.
So then we get to the second song, She's on Fire, which is another ZZ Top. I mean, I know it's gonna be like, okay, you're saying ZZ Top because it's Billy Gibbons, but what I'm saying is his playing, the playing of the music is more like what I liked about ZZ Top before they turned into that 80s pop rock.
Yeah.
To me.
Well, it's just like what they were talking about with the song we were just talking about prior to this.
Mm-hmm.
It's Roadhouse Blues is what ZZ Top was doing.
Yeah.
Rock Ed.
Yeah.
And that's what I loved about them. I mean, they took that. It's pretty much what Boot Hill was doing with a lot of the country rock stuff. We were taking it and just rocking it up, in the day. And,
right.
And that's what sold it in the bars. It's like, okay, doing the stuff people hadn't heard of before,
Yeah.
Same thing right here. It's like,
but this one here, She's on Fire, to me, that's just a great 3-piece rocker. I mean, I know you got a little bit of overdub going on there, but I mean, it's something that you can get out there with 3 guys and just rock this song.
Right.
It's kind of a cool story for this song. I don't know if you know the story behind it, but they did this recording in a studio in a desert, like way in the desert. There was nothing around. So they found a restaurant they could go eat at. And they went there one day to get breakfast, and the place, there was a fire going on. And it was the cook in there. The kitchen was on fire, and she's running around, and she ran out, and they walked up, and she says, "Hey, don't worry, I got it, and I'm not going to burn your breakfast." So she goes back in there, and she gets the fire out, and then they eat breakfast. So they wrote a song, but they were like, man, this girl's like all over the place, man. She's on fire. So they kind of wrote that song for her, which is pretty cool, I thought. Interesting little thing. Then you get to number 3, which is More, More, More. And to me, when it started out, believe it or not, I thought it was a Rob Zombie song. It sounded just like Living Dead Girl, man. I'm like, oh my gosh, man, talking about a dirty, heavy song.
Yeah.
It had that 9 Inch Nails, mechanical, dirty, gritty rock going on. And then, of course, once he starts singing, obviously it's not like a Rob Zombie. He had that megaphone, telephone sounding vocal effect going on there. So it had a good slide solo in there, which I think, I'm pretty sure that Austin did most of the slide work. I'm not sure. But I know he did the slide work on a couple of songs. But like I said, the track listings are very limited. They don't really talk about who did what. So
I'll tell you, Billy Gibbons is a very proficient slide player.
He is, yeah. And well, the reason I say it is because the next song, Shuffle, Step, and Slide.
Yeah, that's the one that the Texas Shuffle that.
Right. Well, I kind of got, it's like a Sweet Home Chicago with a Texas Shuffle, kind of like a Stray Cats thing. But they came up with the song because Matt Sorum was messing with the beat, and Billy's like, man, that's a funky beat, man. I like that. So then Austin said, well, I'm just going to slide right in with you guys, and started playing the slide, and that's where the slide part come in for the shuffle, step, and slide, right? So you had the shuffle, you had Billy Gibbons stepping in, and then you had Austin sliding in. So kind of where they came up with that. Really cool how they came up with some of the stuff. But the one thing I want to ask you is, I said that it was kind of a Chicago style shuffle done Texas style. I know it's weird. It's kind of like a mixture of a couple shuffles to me. But when Billy talked about this song, he said that ZZ Top basically they kind of hung on three different beats. They had the shuffle, the cut shuffle, and what he called the monkey beat. Now, what is the monkey beat? Do you know? Is it just a standard four on the floor?
It's a four on the floor, and
Like like the monkey toy where it just goes bang, bang, bang. I'm not sure what a monkey beat is.
think of the names of the songs, but it's like one song is like dun 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 dun. That's kind of like what he's talking about, a monkey beat, because it's kind of like staggering, stuttering as they're walking through it, Yeah, I mean that's him. That's where when you hang out with a band, all bands come up with their own little lingo of how to.
Well, that's what I figured, but I didn't know, because I even tried to look up what a monkey beat was, and you'd be surprised what comes up when you punch monkey beat. So don't, I mean,
to do with drums.
Yeah. Well, not much, no. So yeah, you'll find some videos you don't want to stumble into. Might even not be allowed to watch some of them, but anyway. So yeah, so shuffle, step, and slide. It kind of reminded me of a little bit of a Stray Cats thing. It had the Chicago shuffle mixed with some Texas shuffle mixed with some surf shuffle. I mean, it was really weird shuffle, kind of like its own thing almost. I don't know.
It was just, to me, pretty much it was a straight up Texas shuffle.
Mm-hmm.
You hear him doing the Chicago intro, doing the shuffle, but when it broke down into the song, it was just a straight up Texas shuffle.
Right.
His fills were his own, it weren't Frank Beard, but I got to tell you, it was a lot like Frank Beard was sitting back there playing drums.
Well, the cool thing about it is, I mean, they kind of, when they first got to the studio, they just set up whatever they could find. They didn't even have anything with them. They were just going to look at the studio to see if they wanted to do anything. And they picked up this Jazz Master guitar was laying around with an old Fender amp. So they picked that up, started messing with it. And then Austin found a couple guitars laying around the studio, and he started playing those. And then somehow Matt found this really nice drum kit that he found and set it up, and he was like, yeah, I mean, let's just start messing with stuff. First song they did was that surf song, West Coast Junkie. That was the first song they wrote, because he had the Jazz Master, he had the surf sound, so they kind of went for that one.
Me, that's the coolest song on the whole album. I mean, it kind of lent itself a little bit to Wipeout.
Yeah.
I mean, it just had all kinds of little flavors in there.
Yeah.
Just threw you right back to the 60s era.
I don't want to really skip ahead too much, because I got so much to say about this record, man. I was kind of excited about it. So but hold on what you're saying there, because we're going to get to that one. So the next one is Vagabond Man, which to me, that's the kind of song where Billy's playing really soars. It's the slow blues. He's got that gritty voice. I love that song, man. Vagabond Man.
Got that blues thing happening.
Yeah, you got that organ B3 sound. I don't know what they used, because again, they don't tell you. I don't even know who played the organ on it. Might have been Ben Montench, for all I know. I really don't know.
Take cactus there in the desert.
I mean, the guy's been on everything else, so I really don't know. But yeah, I like that. That's a typical slow blues. Definitely a Billy F Gibbons. I'm thinking the F stands for effing, right? Billy F Gibbons. I don't know. So then we get to song number 6, Spanish Fly. Yeah. And I like that, because basically you had the drums, he would sing a line, and then he would play a lick. And I really liked it because it breathes well. You know what I mean? You got just that nice drum beat there, him singing over top of it, throwing in some cool guitar riffs, and then they get into the Spanish Fly chorus, which is really cool. He kind of wrote this because he said a friend of his has got a 1946 Ford that he wants to drive, and he never lets him drive it. And he wanted to drive it so bad that he wrote the first verse about it.
Mm-hmm.
So, because he said that's his favorite car of all time is the 46 Ford. And the guy that he knows, that he calls his car the Spanish Fly. So that's kind of dead. Then of course it gets to, you know, the drug, the Spanish Fly, the not really the drug, but what do you call it, aphrodisiac.
Yeah.
You know? So, you know, you get to the girl thing and all that analogy. And then you got that really cool drum riff at the end, you know, where he's doing that, you know what I mean? And he's got that reverb sound on that snare with the rim shot, man. And everything about that song was good to me. I love that song. I mean, I don't know. I could talk about a lot on this, but anyway, I really like that one, man. I like the sound they got on that.
That's where the joy of music comes in, man. When you just sit down and just start playing. You don't really rehearse anything. You just take the ideas and you roll with it.
Yeah, I mean,
you let the song speak. You don't try to form the song forms you. And there's a big difference there.
Yeah, I mean, he talked about that. When they went in there, they had nothing written.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they didn't even have a piece of paper. He said he had a pen, and they couldn't even find a piece of paper to write down what they were going to do. And it was really, really funny.
But yeah, I mean, you know, it's just a lot of heart and soul, and you just,
yeah.
And
you know, as excited as
tell it, you know, I mean, that's what it's all about, you know. It's just, when you're talking about the blues, I mean, you look at these people, you know, that would sit down with just an acoustic guitar, and they put a pill bottle on their finger and sit there and just sing. You know, they're singing from the bottom of their heart, man. They're singing the heartbreak and everything they've gone through. You know,
it's their life. You know, but then, you know, I mean, I know I'm talking a lot already, but I'm only halfway through. We still got 6 more songs to talk about, man. You know, so now we come up the West Coast Junkie, which we were talking about, and that was the first one they wrote. You know, it's got that Reverend Billy Gibbons, Reverend William, you know, getting on there, and then he gets that his signature words. You know what that is, right?
Oh yeah.
Have mercy, have mercy. And then you go into that hardcore surf guitar sound.
Yeah.
Really cool, man. I mean, you know, it's got a little Spanish style going on in there. You got some Spanish guitar, you got the surf guitar, you definitely have that jazz master sound with the reverb. And you know, I thought Dick Dale was going to come on there and play a little bit, which he might have. I don't know, but I don't know. He might not even be with us anymore. But anyway,
he's not.
Yeah, definitely. That's what got this whole album going, was that song. You know, he kind of wanted to do the from Texas to the desert to LA, surf, all that. You know, he said when they wrote it, they were in the desert and they were looking for water. So they wrote a surf song. Crazy, right? You know, and you know, he probably recorded it on that drum set he found in there, because at that time they didn't even have their instruments yet. So, so yeah, I mean, that's really cool how he's got that sound.
Yeah, well, you know, to me, and it's funny you brought up Dick Dale. I mean, obviously there's the influence there. I had a chance to meet Dick Dale at a truck stop. I was helping some people move from Chicago down to Missouri, and I was driving a U-Haul and stopped to get some fuel, and I'm standing in line, and I saw this tour bus pull in, and the guy driving the tour bus standing in line right behind me. He goes, "Hey man, we've got talking and stuff." You know, I told him, I said, "Yeah, I'm just driving down from Chicago." And he goes, "Well, I'm driving that tour bus out there." He says, "Dick Dale's on the bus." Said, "He's asleep, but you want to meet him?" I'm like, "Man, I'd love to meet him, but I don't want you going in there waking him up."
Yeah, yeah.
you know. So I didn't meet him, you know. I mean, I told him, I said, I'd love it, but, you know, I would feel real bad to have him come out shaking the sleep out of his eyes, trying to talk to me, you know. And it's like,
Right.
you know,
Well, you know, the most people don't even know who he is, but if you ever watched Pulp Fiction, that song, that's Dick Dale, you know, that very high reverb, real trebly Fender sound,
he
you know.
was he was the originator of the venture sound, you know. I mean,
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
yeah, he put that sound out there. Yeah, I mean, that's there was also too a commercial that was done that used one of his songs. I forget the commercial now. And
Yeah,
actually,
I remember that. Yeah.
he showed him in the commercial
Yep.
too.
Yep. Yep.
And
I mean, he's definitely the originator of the surf guitar
yeah,
sound.
guitar, yeah.
Yep. So yeah. All right. So then we get to the next song, "Stacking Bones," and this is the one where you got Rebecca and Megan Lovell on it. They're the Larkin Poe from Larkin Poe, and it was a pretty funny story about this one too because when they were doing some, he was touring around and they had a guy opening up for him, and his name is Tyler Bryant. It's called the Tyler Bryant Band, and the Tyler Bryant Band, you may not have heard of them, but Brad
Name,
Whitford from Aerosmith's son plays for them. We actually talked about him a little bit when we were doing the Joe Bonamassa review. So it's the Tyler Bryant Band. It's got Brad Whitford's son playing in it. Anyway, Billy said he'd walk by his dressing room or whatever, his trailer or whatever, and he said there was always these two young girls there. They were always talking to him, and he'd walk by, and he said every time he walked by, these two girls were there. So he asked him one day, he's like, "So what's up with you and these two girls?" He's like, "Oh no, man." He's like, they actually have a band called Larkin Poe. He said, "Come to the sound check today, and you can hear them." So Billy says, "All right, I'll do that." So he's on his bus, and Tyler Bryant's getting ready to go up and do a sound check. So he walks out there, and there's Rebecca and Megan, and they start playing. And he's like, "Man," he said, "this is me. This is all about me." So he watched them do their set, and then asked them if they wanted to come out to the desert, but not at that time. But when he was doing this record, he asked them if they wanted to come out into the desert and do something, on this record. So it's them doing most of the guitar and slide work on Stacking Bones on this. So
yeah, I'm just wondering if they're not related to Chuck Leavell.
I don't know. I've never really done much. I did see them in concert when we went to Keith Urban. He brought them out and they did a couple songs with him. And I've watched some of their stuff. They're really good. I mean, they're very talented, very talented. Great slide, great acoustic, great singers. I'm sure they're singing the backups on this, I would guess, even though I don't know because, again, he doesn't tell you anything on this record. So,
well, it's to me, it just seems like this was a project that just fell together. And they just threw it together and put it out there.
Yeah, but I mean, great song. I like the Stacking Bones. Got a great. The words are pretty cool. Basically, stacking bones, talking about dice, throwing dice, winning some money. Then you get to the next song. "I Was a Highway." To me, this is an okay song, but the verse is exactly the same thing as John Anderson's "Swangin'." It's the same cadence, the same way he sings it. There's a little girl in our neighborhood. Her name is Charlotte Johnson. It's the exact same verse. And I was like,
Yeah. Well, and then that's that when even when John Anderson did "Swinging," that's such an old tried and true formula.
It is, yeah.
I don't know how, it's one
Well,
of
you
those.
got to say "swangin'."
Yeah. Well, swinging. Yeah. I don't know. That goes to the fact of you get these artists that nitpick and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of reminded me of the cadence is the only thing, that reminded me of it. But then when it gets to the verse, I mean, the chorus, it reminded me of "Life is a Highway."
Yeah. Life is a highway.
Exactly. And this is if I was a highway and, and she, took off as fast as she could, kind of thing there, but it's kind of a mix between swinging and Life is a Highway to me. Anyway, that was one of the songs that I felt like was a filler, really.
Yep.
Then you get to the next song, which I'm really interested to talk about this one because he doesn't want to tell you about it. It's called SGLMBBR. Okay. They wrote this song because of Cream had a song called what was it called?
I'm trying to think.
SLARB or something like that. But nobody knew what it was, but it comes to find out later that Cream's version was She's Like a Bearded Rainbow was what it meant, right? They found out much later. So he said they never could figure it out. So anyway, he wrote this song, SGLMBBR, okay? So if you read the lyrics, a lot of the lyrics is some girls like my fast cash, some girls like this. So obviously, and he even says that the first part is some girls like my, and then the BBR, he wouldn't tell you what it was. He said, you guys figure it out from there yourself. Now, I ask you, what do you think the BBR is? Some girls like my BBR. And I've got a couple things I'm going to say, and one of them, a little weird. So the first thing that came to my mind was some girls like my big beef rocket. That's the only thing I can figure out, right? So I'm like, it could be some girls like my baby back ribs. I don't know. I don't know what he's saying. He wouldn't tell in the interview what it meant. But to me, reading the words.
I think it's something that relates to one of his cars.
No, it's all about girls because the guy even said something on the interview that, he's like, well, it could say some guys like my, and Billy Gibbons like, no, well, I guess some guys could like it, but, whatever. So it's really about something that a girl likes. So in my opinion, Big Beef Rocket, Big Beef Rocket. Huh?
Big bottle rocket.
Nah, well, it could be because it could be fireworks, right? So I don't know. Maybe somebody will figure it out one day.
There's a rocket in my pocket.
Yeah, it could be. That's the only thing I could figure. So then you got, and it's a pretty decent song too. I actually like the song. even the mystery behind it, I like it.
More.
Then you got Hey Baby Que Paso, which is an old Texas Tornado song, right? But before that, it was written by a guy named Augie Myers.
Mm-hmm.
He had an original version of it, which Billy Gibbons had. And he played it for him in the studio. And everybody's like, man, we should do this, right? So they did it. They didn't know what the second verse was. Well, guess what? Billy knew the guy. So he calls him up and he's like, Augie, what is the words to the second verse? And he says, it can be anything you want it to be. Just say it in some kind of Spanish that's not really Spanish, and it has to rhyme with San Antone. That's it. So he made up some words that weren't really Spanish, that sound Spanish, that rhyme with San Antone. So that's how this song came to be. It's a great remake, probably not far from the original, but it fits the record well.
Yeah.
It's definitely the same feel that you have for the whole record. And then we finally get to the last song, Desert High is what it's called. And man, again, I love this song, man. It's got that real haunting desert feel. It's like I can see myself watching a Quentin Tarantino movie with this song on. It's got everything spooky about a desert feel to it, man. And I just really, really dig this song. Not much to it, kind of basic. Man, it's just haunting, and I really love that song, man.
The thing that I can kind of sidestep and relate it to is that on the Danny Gatton Legends album that they put out with him, that very first song that they do on that album, it's got that real spooky, just blues drudge to it with that real reverby sound. It's like, oh my God.
Yeah. And he said when he recorded it, he wanted it to sound like a cowboy song, right? And then he said, I don't really have any melody for it, so I'm just going to go in here and see if the lyrics fit. So he spoke through the lyrics, and then after he finished, Florentine and the other guy, they were like, "That's it, man." He's like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "No, we're keeping that. The way you spoke it it's perfect. Don't touch it." So he didn't go back and sing it. He just used the spoken part because they liked it so much. Yeah. So I thought that was really cool. Great song. Uh, I mean, I think this is a great CD, man.
I do too. I do too. I always default to this kind of music. Is this and the early Allman Brothers. That kind of stuff. And honestly, when I retire, that's the direction I'd love to be setting it. Is playing this kind of music.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing complicated. It's straight feel, man.
Roadhouse music.
Mm-hmm.
Pick and wire up over the stage and you play.
Exactly.
If you ain't doing it right, they're gonna throw bottles at you. If you're doing it, they're gonna throw bottles at you.
That's right. So be prepared, right? Hopefully they're full, and you can grab one and drink it. But
I set it in the window behind my head, like I used to at the Green Wheel.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like what you were saying last week too. The same thing. I mean, you definitely feel that this is a Roadhouse band type feel about it. I mean, exactly. It's a great CD, man. I really enjoyed it.
Yep, I did too. This is stuff that's right at home with me. I mean, cut my chops on the Beatles and Buck Owens.
Mm-hmm.
But my heart falls into this area right here.
Yeah.
Love sitting down with people that just want to play music. Ain't no rehearsal. You just start playing.
That's exactly right, man. That's the thing about me too. It's like, I want to feel the groove. And this thing grooves, man. I mean, you got some rockers on here, you got some slow blues, you got surf music. It's definitely I think they captured the Texas desert sound perfectly on it.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's very alive. It's a very alive record. And I mean, it's cool. It's a really cool record. There's another thing I wanted to say about it. They named it Hardware because of, in memory of a guy named Joe Hardy that used to be an engineer with ZZ Top way back in the 70s. They met him in Memphis when they started recording in Memphis. They used to call him Joe Party Hardy. So they called this album Hardware in honor of him. And you can actually see that on the back where it says
yeah, okay,
righteous memory, I guess, of Joe Party Hardy. Yeah, righteous, have mercy. So anyway, great CD, man. Billy F Gibbons. I think the F stands for effing, for Billy F and Gibbons. I mean, what's that?
Billy Franklin.
Yeah, could be. I'm going with an 8.7 on this one. I mean, I'm going to put this one up there because 8.7. It's to me, I can listen to this one all day long.
I'm gonna be a little conservative on it. I mean, I probably would, if I'd had the CD and could tear it apart more. I wish I had ordered it, but I'm gonna go with an 8.5 on it.
Yeah.
And like I say, I feel like I'm being a little conservative because I really liked what I heard.
Yeah. I wish that they would have had a bass player on here, even though they all played the bass. Everybody. Matt Sorum played the bass on some. Billy did. Austin did. Mike Florentine did. The Clausen guy played some. Heck, he probably had Ben Montench play one. I don't know. Yeah. Who knows? So I really wish that they would have had, Dusty on there maybe to do some.
Yeah,
Frank on a song or two, but supposedly they're going in the studio and doing another ZZ Top song CD soon. So
I'm sure they are, but I've heard that Frank is really struggling with some health issues.
He could be, and that may be why he did this thing.
So Billy's doing what he's doing, but also too, that's probably why he's grabbing people and running to studios with nothing prepared. I mean, you're looking. you're playing the blues.
Yeah.
So let it live and breathe. I mean,
You don't have to prepare for the blues. You already know it. You live it.
yeah. I mean, you just surround yourself with people that know it. You know,
Yeah.
I mean,
And
that's
and Billy's been out all over the place, man. I mean, you see him all the time playing on like big festival stuff. He's always doing Guitar Legend stuff. I mean, he's around all the time.
yeah. Well, I mean, look at this too. Look at the fact that okay, you got people like the Wrecking Crew. You know, Leland Sklar. You know, all these people part of the Wrecking Crew, and they will walk in and lay down this music in one or two takes.
Yeah.
Stuff that everybody is listening to still today.
Yep.
And so to think that you can't walk in to a room and walk up on stage and not spend a little time between songs, and I'm only talking about maybe 30, 40 seconds going, okay, let's do some slow Texas blues, you know, key of G, you
Yeah.
know,
Exactly.
you know,
And and Billy still got that voice for that stuff too, man. I mean,
and just go, man, just fucking go.
yep.
I mean, there you go.
One thing about it too, man, is Billy is a legend, man. I mean, he's been around for a long time.
Oh yeah.
You think about it, man. I mean, he's been pumping this stuff out since early 70s, right?
Well, did you see uh, uh, the episode where he went to Daryl Hall's place?
No, I haven't seen that. I haven't seen that one.
It was pretty good. It
Yeah.
was,
Yeah, he has some good stuff on that. Daryl's house. Yeah.
yeah, Daryl's house. It was pretty good. I mean,
Yeah.
I saw that. It's been a couple of years ago I saw it, you know. But,
Yeah, I have to check that one out.
yeah, but that's another one that was kind of spontaneous. I mean, Billy Gibbons walks in and goes, "So what you want to do?" You know.
Yeah. He doesn't care, man. I mean, he can play it all. He's done it all. I've seen him busking on street corners and people didn't even know who he was.
Yeah.
He's just sitting there busking and jamming, So
Chad Smith, the Chili Peppers sat busking on the corner there in Portland, Oregon before their concert. He sat there playing a 5-gallon bucket with drumsticks. Nobody knew who the hell he was.
exactly. That's the way you want it to be, man. I don't want you to know who I am. Just enjoy my music. So all right, well, we'll wrap this up real quick. Billy F Gibbons. That's what I'm calling it. Billy F Gibbons. Hardware is the name of it. I gave it an 8.7. Mike gave it an 8.5. Check it out, man. I mean, if you liked old ZZ Top, this sounds like old ZZ Top to me.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, right back to the roots.
yep. Yeah. Exactly. All right. Well, until next time, you guys stay safe.
Peace out. Listen to the music.